Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Appreciate you tuning in once again. So we're back on our little 93 Ranger Splash by AMT. Yes. So we're getting that bad boy put together. We got pretty much everything painted, got the chassis put together. I just got to do some body work on it yet. So let's take you bench side and let's check out the progress on this thing. Well guys, getting some stuff sorted out here so we can get it ready for paint. So right now I'm just separating some pieces out to what colors I want to get done. So the dash needs to be done in blue. I'm sorry, this needs to be done, in blue. And then we're going to tape this piece off here in black. I don't know if that's got to be, is that right? Is that right on the dash? I need to look that up. I need to do some Googling on that. Googly. So I do know the engine was gray in color because I've worked on a lot of these old 4 liters back in the day. So it's all gray. Obviously the transmission is going to be silver. So I'm going to paint this as it is right now, like this right now. And I'm going to paint this probably in a Tamiya, probably the Lynn gray. This will be a good color for that. Yeah, so we're going to use the LP13. That'll work just fine. So I'm going to leave the valve covers off. Now, it would be nice to paint with the valve covers on, but it'll be easier to paint that intake with the valve cover off, because if I do decide to get a little sloppy with it and go onto the head, the valve cover will cover it anyways. So got to be one of those looking a few steps forward. So here's our valve cover. So we're just going to paint these gray like everything else. This is my upper intake. So we're just gonna separate some colors. Let's just go that way. Separate some pieces out and then get it in color. Next thing is I'm hoping everything is here because I feel like I'm missing a couple pieces. One is my radius arm. I feel like I'm missing a radius arm because I only see one. That'll be detrimental because you can't do just one. So I gotta look through some of these pieces and see if I got it here. I hope I do. Maybe it's on this guy. This looks like this would be a radius arm page. Oh, look at that. There it is. Beautiful. Beautiful. So some of this stuff I can start mocking together, putting together before we do anything. Like the rear diff cover can go on the axle. I'm not going to look at some of the suspension and see what we can put together. Actually, the axle can go on the axle. How about that? And go from there. Okay, I'll get this separated out and we'll get some painted and we'll bring it back and see how far we get. Alright guys, we are cruising right along. So painting my springs, simple. I mean, you just kind of dry brush it, I mean, I know a lot of guys probably know how to do this. So I start with black, and this is flat aluminum. And this is Tamiya. So you want something that, but you don't want to dry brush. I mean, you can actually paint, but just take a wide brush. You can just go over top of it with very little down pressure. Just let the brush do the work. It just gives you a nice paint along the edge. And it looks nice. Looks like you sit there and spend all day detailing that spring out. I get a hold of it here. Simple, but yet effective. Yeah, looks pretty good. Where my fingers to it there. Yeah, so it looks pretty good. Like I say, just real simple, quick, easy. Let me give you a little rundown of where we're at with things. I got pretty much everything painted. The engine is almost done. So I went with I actually used German gray in that. I was going to use the other, but I went with German gray instead. And put some yellow for the power steering reservoir. Did some chrome on the top there. This is painted with the Tamiya flat. The oil filter is primer white. This is the Alclade stainless. Same as right here, that's Alclade stainless. And I didn't do nothing on top. I didn't do it in black first. That's just shooting it out of the airbrush, just hitting it. And that's the Alclade jet black, like the exhaust black. So that's kind of a cool color. So I got the radius arms done. So these are done. I painted the shocks in Tamiya Italian red, just the bright red. And that is LP21. So I did the shocks in. We got the airbox done. So this was done in NATO black. I kind of like the NATO black because it's kind of a grayer black or a greeny gray black. It's different. And this is done in rubber black. And then I just took the Molotow marker went here, and then once again there's flat aluminum. Let's give a little underhood detail. Rear suspension's done in a satin black, and then this is done in NATO black on the springs. Just give a little contrast. The interior is done. I actually did the interior last night. I think that turned out pretty cool. Like I said, doing it in blue. And I tried to detail the dash best I could. See if we can get a little shot of that. That's kind of hard to do. So the interior didn't turn out too bad. So I sprayed the whole interior with semi-gloss black. I still got to do a little touch up there on the console. And I still got to spray the console top here. Did all that in there. And then I took the seats and painted them with the Tamiya flat blue. And that would be LP78. So that's what's on the seats originally. As you can see, the inserts of the seat is different than the outside. So the outside, all the blue, once I paint everything black, I went in with a brush and just hand painted it with Folk Art Matte True Blue acrylic paint. So what I do is I like to take that and I water it down, and I'll give it like 2 or 3 coats. So I did the dash and I watered it down a little bit just to give it a little smooth so it wasn't so clumpy lumpy type thing. And being I painted it black first, I just kind of freehanded crossed here. And then I took, I don't know if you can see or not, I took a piece of music wire and I did the gauges. So I did a little detail work on the gauges and a little on the steering wheel. So the steering wheel is painted rubber black, the Tamiya LP65. So I did the steering wheel in, just give a little contrast. Same as the shifter and the boot, same thing. So I didn't think that turned out too bad. And I also hand painted around here with that, with the flat blue in the middle, and then did the light blue on the outside. So there's my blue interior. I still got to paint the bottom of this. I guess I didn't realize I didn't hit that. So I got to paint that black yet, because that'll obviously show. Because we got the frame done. The frame is just, this is flat black Tamiya, just with the airbrush. Everything has been airbrushed, engine and all. Everything except for this here is the only thing I hand painted. So this is going to sit on here like this, but I got to take care of that underneath. So I don't have to paint the whole thing, just majority of it, just that center spot. So that's where I'm at so far. So I'm going to keep plugging along. I have not yet done the body, which is unusual for me because I usually do this first. But that's okay. I want to get it in some primer yet and put it in the Susie Bake oven, let it dry for a minute, and paint it with some white and get going. Other than that, I got the rim stripped down, the chroma strip, so I'm going to paint those with a gloss black and then probably hit it with the Alclade stainless, this here. I love this color. This is ALC 115. This looks really good on, especially for a steel wheel. Oh, the other thing I did is the exhaust. So speaking of Alclade colors, I hit the exhaust, painted all black at first, and I give this just a really light shot of stainless. And then for the gold look, for this here, I give the airbrush just a real light hit, and I use the Alclade gold titanium. So I give that just a little, and just back and forth a little bit, nothing crazy. I didn't tape nothing off, just real easy on the air pressure. And I think the exhaust turned out pretty cool. So I got to do the manifold yet. Like I say, I want to change them up. I think I did those in dark iron, I think is what I painted those originally. So I'm going to fix those quick, and that should be it for the powertrain. Alright guys, so before we do final assembly on this, so I did finally finish the interior. I got that counseling, which is the only thing missing. So we're good to go on that. And we are going to get this assembled. So I have everything painted, everything's put together. Just finished doing the gas tank. So what I did with the tank, I originally painted it with mica silver. This is the Tamiya. I started with LP72. This is mica silver in lacquer. So I sprayed that and I thought, you know, it's almost too glossy, too shiny. Like I say, I pull out tanks out all the time, and just a newer vehicle, they're more of a stainless look. Not a shiny stainless, but more of a brushed nickel look almost. So I thought, I need to tone it down. So I actually took some of the Tamiya LP38, the flat aluminum, and I just give it a mist over top of it. So it dulled it out just enough to where it still has a shine to it. But just enough to, I mean, I would just a couple times in the airbrush. It still looked like it didn't do nothing out, but once it dried, yep, that's me. So other than that, we're ready for assembly, and the engine is finally finished completely. So this is final product on the engine. Like I say, I didn't go overboard with it. A little Malto pen on the idler motor. And I put the exhaust on. So I changed that exhaust because I painted it iron, dark iron is what I painted originally. That was LP54. And I ended up just painting that with the Vallejo chocolate out of their rust kit. So I put that on there. And that was this Vallejo paint, maroon chocolate 70.872. So that's what I ended up putting on here. And I just did a light brush on it, nothing heavy. Just enough to give it that it's kind of rusty. Sub-assembly A, they call this in the instructions. So we're going to take our exhaust and we're going to just do a quick fit. Make sure everything goes where it's supposed to. So you guys been doing models long enough, you know, to give it a quick test fit. Apparently it wasn't a good idea to put that there, but that's okay. Half it's there. I wasn't sure. I thought, well, I'll put it somewhere. And then we take our cross member. So the cross member has a hole in here. And that is to accommodate for the exhaust right here. And the exhaust bolts in right here. And the cross member sits here. Okay, so we'll drop the cross member in the hole first. So then we got the exhaust comes in here. This hole down here and up in here. Okay, we'll get that spare tire cradle in there. So this was just styrene plastic. I just painted it rubber black and took some of the gel pen and did the Firestone. Nothing too carried away, and some Tamiya flat aluminum in the center. So we'll put the tire cradle in, and I believe we should be able to drop the tire in after the cradle's in the hole. It's coming along pretty nice. This is actually a nice little build. I think next time I go to a show, if I can find another one of these, I'm gonna pick one up. Been a nice little build so far. I like a so, I like a so, I like a so. Okay, we'll leave that set for just a second. We'll drop that spare tire in there. The only thing I noticed is there's nothing to pin the tire in. Would have been kind of cool if they had something I could have put the tire on, but I guess worst case I could always put a piece of rod through there, but I think I'll just get it in place and just tack a small little bit of glue on there just to hold it in once it's in the hole. So we should be okay. Looks like they want the axle done next. So at this point, I think I'm going to do, after I get the tire in, I'm just going to do some kind of quick mock-up, because remember guys, you always want to double check your parts, make sure they fit. So this is sub-assembly C, they call it. I don't know what happened to B. Oh, B, we're doing the front. I'm skipping things here. I guess we can do the front. I'll just kind of check and see how this sits in there. Look at that, beautiful. Man, that fits nice. So in the instructions, you can see they give you little riser pieces. So if you want this to sit higher or lower, to me it's a Splash, so it's a sports truck. So I want it to sit as low as possible. So you can see also the difference I did with the colored and paints in the different color. So it gives you that different kind of depth to everything. So it's not just all just black. So like I said, the frame is in flat black. This is in NATO black. Then obviously this was the stainless, the two piece of color here. This was done in satin, I believe, satin black. And this here was also done in NATO black. So it just gives you a different color variant. So it's not just all blah black, you know, this, it just looks good. It looks good. I like it. The drive shaft is gloss black, so that'll give it a little extra different color as well on top of the flat. So it should look pretty good. So I guess we can move on to the front. We'll let that dry for a minute and we'll spin it around and do the front side, or we can leave it where it's at. So the front's the same thing. They give you little riser pieces in the kit. As you can see in the instructions, I believe it's number 44 with the little asterisk beside it, and 42. That is your riser pieces in the kit to raise this up if you desire. But like I said, it is a sports truck, so it is staying on the ground. Slow and low. Actually, these 4-leaves are pretty impressive. If you guys have ever drove one of these, they're actually a nice little driver. Nice little ride. Okay, so we got our independent suspension. Those shocks dried out really nice. Which side is which? That is a good question. You have a long side and a short side, so that's kind of your telltale. Yep, like that. So it look pretty cool. And you can see once again the different variations of color black. So it always looks really nice. So like I said, we're just doing a quick dry fit. Just make sure everything fits nice and snug. So that's looking good there. And then we'll have our radius arms with the shock on it, so those look pretty good with the red. And those will sit in the back. So looks like this should sit right over top the spring in that little pocket right there. Very nice, very nice. Yes. So really don't give you a spot for that radius arm. They should go in the frame right here. Maybe they do. Maybe it's right there. Looks like it just sits there. Because there should be a bracket with a bushing. I used to love putting those in. Not really. I used to do radius arm bushings all the time. That's quite a project. You had to use like a porta power, pry it back. Yeah, so they'll work like that. That's nice. That looks cool. Look at that. Doesn't that look nice? Yes. Yes, it does. Okay, so we get this guy glued in. We'll just do one side at a time. Get it in the right place. There we go. I'm trying to put it over here on the side like, there's nothing goes there. Wipe that off quick. See how the super glue takes it off like nothing to it, but that's okay because we can touch it up. So what I like to do is I go through and touch up everything anyways. So like this little spot here, I'll touch that up. Anywhere where it touched the cradle, I'll hit that. Right here, we'll hit that. Anywhere where the glue kind of touched, we can easily wipe that off. Remember, that goes in that pocket. So put the spring in first, set it in its pocket, and walk it in. That's actually a very nice fit. So this kit would be pretty hard to make it turnable steering. I mean, it's obviously doable. Anything's possible, but you'd have to do a lot of manipulating to make that happen. Okay, so we got that side in. This side, I gotta let this cure a little bit because this wants to keep pushing out, and it's starting to make a mess of the paint. So I'm gonna let it set. So we're gonna move on to the back. I don't know why this side's being a little finicky, but that's okay. We'll get her. We'll get her. We'll get her. I found I can drop the spare tire in from the top. That goes in really easy. So once I get the back in, we'll drop this in. And that should look pretty cool in there. We can put that in any time before the box goes down. We should be good. So once again, put a little bit of our CA in the corners. Yeah, I could probably scrape paint, you know, and do it the real way, but okay, get that guy locked in. I'm gonna take some clips, put on there just to hold him tight for a minute, like so. Give that a few seconds for dry time, and while that's doing that, we'll put the shocks in place. So this is subassembly C, because B was there, A, B, and C obviously. So we're gonna take our shocks, and these just drop in the top, and they just kind of sit at the bottom. So they sit on the axle, and they just sit down below on that frame. So the instructions are not 100% clear on where they want these to actually sit. I do know they sit in here, but they don't really give you a specific spot in the frame. So it looks like this piece here sits into this notch here. And same as the side here, you just slide it over. So they give you the two notches. It depends if you have it raised or not, or if you have it lowered. So what I'm going to do is just tack it up in there real quick. Just a little tack here. We'll set the shock in place. For what I can see, there's no right or left in these. They're just whatever side you have fits in there. And I'm going to hold it to the side for a minute just so I can see where it needs to go. And looks like we're going to be in the front hole. I can tell by the distance. That's where we're going with it anyways. And once those are dry, that should be it for the back of the assembly. So after this part here, they move you to final chassis assembly, which is putting the engine in. So at this point we're going to do engine drive shaft, but we're going to do before anything else, we're going to get this piece in and the tie rod linkage. We're going to get that situated, and then we will be done with the chassis. Okay guys, so next we're going to get, so we got that piece put in. I got to do some touch up on the paint. That scratched basically from this, not from glue. So, you know, I mentioned a lot that I use enamel on my bodywork, and that's a lot of the reason why, because lacquer and acrylic, it scratches easy. It's not that durable, in my opinion. And it looks beautiful, don't get me wrong, but I just like when I do body work, it's more resilient. I mean, it can take abuse without damaging it, where sometimes a lacquer or something like that, it will chip easier. But that's just how it is, and it's not a big deal. Like I say, that was just from handling that, and it scratched it pretty good. So this here, very simple setup here. So we have it where it tags onto the sector shaft on the gearbox, and then you can see in here these old tabs right here. This is where a tie rod's going to fit into there. and drop onto the sector shaft. Okay, we'll leave it just like that. We'll let that set for a minute. So it's funny the way they have this designed. This is the end of the sector shaft here. So your gearbox is here, and the sector shaft arm is here. So this actually should be here in reality. So the gearbox actually should have been up here, and that arm should have come out and hit this part of the arm. That's okay. It's close. It looks alright yet. I won't tell. Okay, we're gonna let that dry, and that should wrap up chassis other than putting the engine in. So I'm gonna give that a few minutes to tack up. Before I put the engine in, I think I might go through a quick touch up, make sure everything looks cool, and we will be back and we'll get the engine and drive shaft in, and chassis should be done. Alright, so we got everything all tidied up, all our little spots touched up, so we're looking pretty again. That looks pretty nice, and that's all sitting good. So we should be good to go for engine. So basically all we have left is engine and drive shaft, and then drop that spare in eventually. And we should be pretty much wrapped up with this portion of it. So I see our drive shaft has a little bit of a curve to it, so we're going to want to line that up a little bit. But first, I'll make sure it's going to go in there. That'll bite me. It's going to bite me. Alright, well maybe I don't have to put glue in there, because it's going to be a pretty tight fit. But I can see right now it needs to be spun about halfway around, like so. So now we're going to do a little drop of glue on the engine mounts. So we just have a mount here, and one here. I set this in there already before I hit the camera, just make sure things are okay. Okay, and dropped in our hole. Look at that, exhaust lines up just beautiful. How many times does that happen? Wow. Got it somewhat straight. Looking good, looking good. Okay, that's going to wrap up this part of it. Looks pretty cool. Alright, we'll get that bodywork wrapped up and we'll get going from there.